All right. By the way, I'm glad, Andrew, you've been listening to the recordings. I think you've been finding them pretty helpful. So it's good to know that you're growing. So, Andrew, let me ask you, what are the three things that you have learned so far? And you should be able to talk. So, what are some three things? I know you've been going through the recordings. What are some of the three biggest aha moments you've had so far? Can you there? Yeah. So, what are the three things? You can talk if you want.
Cool. Can you hear me?
Yep. Go ahead.
Yep. Definitely building properly building trust with people. And I've been teaching that to my team. So yeah, just utilizing that when prospecting. Another big one was, I guess I had it back to front, because I do like to do a lot of social media marketing. So the steps on, making yourself visible, but yeah, making yourself visible, but also yeah, again, building that trust in, and the whole making your presence known on Facebook rather than just posting up stuff but not really talking to people. So I did have a fair few downlines that they keep posting things up, but no one really notices it. So I guess I really um, yeah, found out what their problem was because they weren't really talking to anyone on Facebook. Um, and um, I
So,
guess
okay, it's two.
yeah.
What's the last one?
Um, just I guess looking at my notes, but that were pretty much the main two that stuck out to me. And then oh yeah, oh sorry, yeah, the third one was yeah, being consistent because people will only buy off people that are obviously consistent, they trust, and the example of like the TV ads, if they keep seeing it over and over and it's consistent, then it'll stick in their head.
Yes, good. So, social media is consistency. Okay,
Yeah.
good. Jeremy, why don't we hear from you real quick? Three things that stood out the most since you guys are like new members. I know you've been listening to a lot of recordings. Three things that stood out. And for everyone else, since you guys are new, should always have your mic prepared to speak. Okay, so we can have more engagement. And also one tip too: make sure your mic is not like Andrew. Your mic is a little blown out. The level is a little too high, so you probably have to adjust it a little bit. And just it's always good to have that in case you're doing Skype or webinar, or you're speaking to prospect. Make sure your mic levels are not too high. Right, so you're always ready. So your mic level is a little high. So Jeremy, you said prospect, present, train, and what else? Let's see. All right, since you're not speaking, we're just gonna move on. You can type in mindset. Okay. So we're gonna go on. So a couple updates real quick is, and you talked about social media. So I have some social media things to share. Okay. So a couple updates. Implementation vacation. I know, Andrew, you had asked me about date and the cutoff. I will probably know the date cutoff in a little bit by the time I get to Australia. Okay, but the cutoff is probably be sometime in June. So it's not probably going to be another month or so. The Australia trip, everything's pretty much set. Andrew, I have my hotel. The location for the Melbourne Mastermind get together will probably be somewhere at the hotel once I book that. Okay. And yeah, everything is pretty much set for there. And let's see, the next one is Insider Circle. We're going to have call in hours this coming Friday. So I'm gonna have a long session this coming Friday. Probably be 3 4 hours around 1 p.m. my time. Okay, till 1 p.m. Eastern till about 4 p.m. Eastern. So probably 3 hours of times where you can call in. I actually may split it up. So I know 1 p.m. Eastern it's like 4 a.m. for Andrew. So in Melbourne, so I may do one from 10 to, 1 to 3, and then another session from maybe 5 to 6. So if you have questions or any of your team members, mastermind members have questions, you can call me in the morning. Okay, so I'll send out email out. I'll send an email out later today. Now, let me just put my phone away. Okay, so I just came back from Chicago. It was a great event, very very good event. And just to let you know, I had IDC meetings for 2 days, and I think the IDC. Do they have IDC in Australia? Do they have IDC in Australia? They should, right, Christina? And if they do, it's something I would highly encourage you guys to go and be a part of, because you really get to know a lot about the company, and what the company's doing, and not just that, but where on the company's perspective, and So it's kind of like inside information to help you grow your business, and also an opportunity for you to represent and help the distributors that you represent. So I don't know what the qualifications are, Christina. In the U.S., you have to be a top 50 income earner, gold and above. And So I would highly encourage that. I know now. I don't know how it was. How was your experience with the IDC before, Christina, in the past? How was it? Because the honest thing is, in the U.S., there hasn't been always the great things about the IDC. From what I've heard, I actually had bad expectations about it. I've heard that there was a lot of bureaucracy, red tape, but things weren't getting done. It was just like, and when you get to higher level, you get all these. Everyone has problems, right? But this actually has been a great experience for me, and it's very exciting to see how the company has changed a lot. Really, probably one of the best things that happened to the company was, we shared about the Arix story. It was Arix. It got rid of all this old dead weight, also distributors that were dead weight, and cleaned house. Usanis brought in Doug Braun, which is a really, really brilliant guy in terms of marketing. A good guy who actually really understands marketing. How many of you are familiar with Doug Braun? So maybe some of you have heard of him, but it's actually he's a very, very, I think it's probably one of the best things that's happened to USANA with Doug Braun. He came from Herbalife with a marketing mind, and not just like dead weight. You always have to clean house. So Arix is really good at cleaning out all these people. Very exciting, new things coming up. And I think with the IDC, it's good for credibility, Christina, for marketing wise. It's just something else on your resume, and to know where the company is going, I think will be helpful. So it may have changed before. I know, Christina, I would encourage you to look into it. So for me, like I said, I actually wanted to do it to learn more about the company and to help. A lot of people give me feedback. I actually was going there kind of cautious, but it's been a great, great experience. And also, I guess the group of people that we have has been great. So I can't share all the inside secrets, but the only thing I can hint at is there's going to be new products announced. Something big, big happening during convention. Okay, how it's going to apply to other new markets, I don't know yet, but it's going to be huge. Marketing wise, and one of the things that I've been working with I actually talked to Dave once about that, is when they come up with a new product, and if Yusan's not going to do it, this is one of the focus I will be working with people on, is teaching you how to market a new product. If something comes out, how do you position the new product? Because positioning and marketing, I think one of the things that Yusan has done great is coming out with these great products, but they don't really necessarily train us on how to market and position that product in the marketplace. Aside from just giving you like a PDF. I mean, when you're first starting out, it's good. You have the PDF, you know what the benefits are, right? But really, in terms of that product, not do you only know the benefits of the product, but who do you sell that product to? How do you position that product against the competition that's out in the marketplace? So those are some things that I think the company's really working on. That's what I'm excited about. There are also some of the products are boutique products. Boutique, which boutique is the name, kind of like Rev 3, right? Or the Gold Nuts and Berry Bar, like they have in the US. So these are products that are not necessarily, they may be expensive, right? Expensive in terms of it's not a product that you can build a business on, but the company has them so that you can sample them out and get them interested. Like you can sample a Rev 3 out. People may not just buy the Rev 3, right? But if you sample out, they like it, then they become interested in the products, and then they join the business. So the company's working on more of these boutique products, unique products that are competitively. Now, when I say competitively priced, meaning you may not get many points for it. Okay, so you have to consider they have what they call a PV ratio, points per point. I mean, dollar per point. Like the health pack is probably the cheapest product, dollar per point, right? Rev 3 is expensive, dollar per point. So I think it's $1.80 per point. But they do that in order for them to keep the cost of the product low. So I think it's $3 a can. So the cost of the product is cheaper, but in return you get less points. Right? So I think the company's looking for more products like that that helps retailing and also helps to sample. Okay, sample out. What's the cheapest? What's the lowest PV ratio in Australia? Which product is the cheapest per dollar per point? What product do you guys have? The So what Andrew or Christina? Essentials.
Yeah, I'd
Okay.
say essentials as
So
well.
what is it? What dollar per point is it in Australia?
30 points, $55.
Okay, $55 for 30 points. So that's 50. Wow, that's almost $2 a point, right? So I'm telling you, people in the U.S. we have it so much easier. The product's a lot cheaper here. So in the U.S. it's Rev 3 Surge Pack, which is $106. It's $53 for 50 points. So that's pretty good. $53 for 50 points. But anyway, there's a range of products. The ones that are higher, they're normally good products of sampling. So actually, the company will probably be coming out more of these products later on. But knowing how, long time ago, it used to be $1 per point. At least in the US, it was $1 per point. But because of inflation, the price of the products increased and the points stayed the same. So, but they always want to keep it around $1.25 per point. That's the average normally, $1.25 per point in the US. So even if the price goes up, they may decrease the points. They'll keep it like in a ratio where it's affordable for our distributors and downlines. But anyway, those are exciting. I can't. I don't want to talk anymore about the new products. We have the new prenatals that just came out this weekend. That's exciting. Another thing that was exciting about the Chicago event is they're really moving towards direction of more recognition for your team members. I've seen this. This is very common in the Philippines. Recognition, galas, but it is less common in the U.S. So this year basically started doing a celebration gala, like a awards gala, maybe you call it gala, whatever. Like they had an awards gala where, and really the company did not promote it well. I think one of the things you see USANA is they're really working hard, and the staff is overworked. But it's a good thing. It's like growing pains. The company's really investing a lot of things to grow bigger, new initiatives. In my 10 years in the company, this is the most I've seen them working on new things to stay cutting edge. And I think again, it goes back to cleaning out the old people, the Arix people, and starting new. So it's very exciting. But the people are overworked. But they're starting new things at the awards gala. The downside was probably not as many people knew about it, but it was a really great event in terms of giving recognition. So it's a whole night just to celebrate the distributors. And this is especially great for the ones who are like the new silvers, new golds, but also for the distributors there that didn't get the awards and motivated them. So it was the first time that they did that in the U.S. And do you guys have something like that in Australia? Anything like that? in Australia? Like awards gala? What type of recognition do you guys do? Christina, anything? No?
Not from the company.
Oh, what about during the Sydney convention celebration? Did you guys have anything like a special awards gala?
Yeah, we did.
Okay, so you guys have that. So they start implementing it this year. Okay, so it's good. So I think it's a great. They used to never have that in USANA. It's like really the first year they started doing it in the U.S. market. So, and a lot of it comes from the ideas from Doug Braun that he basically took from Herbalife. Okay. Um, Let me move on. Okay, there's other couple of things before the MLM training magazine. So, Andrew, you're probably the only one on the call who doesn't know this, and we can talk more offline. But this Saturday will be the launch of the MLM training magazine. Right? So this will be on the Apple newsstand. Everyone knows if you know about it, except for Andrew. It will come out on Saturday. I'm actually going to San Jose, and we're doing a special training for Nancy Ong. We'll be announcing it there. All right, so Andrew, we could talk more about it later. Please do not share with anyone else. No one knows about
Yeah.
it except for you guys. And you guys can all, Andrew, we can talk later how you can be part of it as well. Right? We need to work on your rank advancement. So that is going to come out on Saturday. Keep your fingers crossed. There's no technical issues because there's always going to be technical. But submit it to Apple and should be up in the newsstand, right? Also, if some of you want to contribute again for the second issue, that's something you guys should. I would definitely open the opportunity to all of you to contribute for the second issue, which will come out in July. Totally voluntary. But I think for marketing purposes, I think it would be good for all of you. Because my vision, when I say mine, it's also with Scott McGee, is to make this magazine very, very big. So it'll go to not just the USANA community, but other companies. So it's basically free marketing for you guys. So if you're interested, message me privately, let me know, so that we can start working on the second issue, which will come out in July. All right? Oh, the last question is, how many of you would be interested? I know some of you have heard you speak. Some of you have never heard you speak before. But how many of you would be interested to be paid to speak? I know you guys do trainings for free stuff, but would you be interested to be paid to speak? And I'm not talking about being a professional speaker or anything, but to do an event training where you be paid. It's not going to be like $10,000, $20,000, but to be paid a little bit to do an event. So Jeremy, you be Sabrina. Okay, anyone else? Randy. And if you were to do it for free, okay, what would you talk about? And how long could you talk for? What would you think is your specialty? Okay, because again, we'll have to make you unique, right? Think of it. Is people are going to pay, and this is something I want to help you guys in terms of marketing. I think that we have the magazine to market you guys, but to help you, what would you think would be your, I guess it goes back to USP, unique selling proposition, that will make you unique and people want to listen to you and be willing to pay to listen to you. What would you talk about? And it could be part of the business. So when I say that, are you specifically good about teaching people, like Christina, maybe you teach people how to be stay-at-home moms and do the business, right? Or what would you, so you'd be a business mom, right? Jeremy, you can talk about anyone can do it. Just sharing your story. What is something, Randy, what would your hook be? What would you speak on? Sabrina, what would you speak on? Five minutes on theory. 5 minutes. Oh, okay, so Sabrina, if you're going to be paid to speak, you need to speak at least 30 minutes. Probably 45. Actually, really, I want you to start thinking. It's not be 20, 30 minutes, Jeremy. It has to probably be 45 minutes to an hour. Okay, like an hour. A good hour. That doesn't mean you need to speak for an hour, but your session will be an hour. And you would speak for maybe 45 minutes. and you can make it maybe open for 15 minutes of question and answers. So, so this is something I want you to think about. You need to tell me now. 45 minutes, an hour. You have an hour time slot, and what would you speak on, right? And this is something that you have to probably be well organized. It can't be because you're probably speaking for free. You guys are always speaking for free right now, but people are paying to speak. It has to be more polished. Okay, so 45 minutes to 1 hour. Think about what would you speak about, and then message me. Okay, actually, I'll post on the Diamond Mastermind. I'll see what you guys say. All right, so let's go over. All right, so this is some advice in terms of time, saving time. And let me just bring up these things because I had talked to. I was at the Chicago event and did like a master's training, a roundtable training. And this was a common theme for a lot of the leaders, right? I just want to review some of the things, and some of actually the 5-star mastermind members have been having problems with this. So, Christina, there's 4 types of downlines. What are the 4 types of downlines? 27% of what? What are the 4 types of downlines, Christina? I'm going to unmute you, Christina, okay? Christina, okay. So what are the 4 types of downlines?
Yeah.
27% is what?
Oh, you got me there.
Okay. So let's start from scratch, okay? What are the 4 types of downlines? So Randy's helping you out here. Supporters. What else do we have?
Okay.
What else do we have? Oh, it's good.
The socializers.
No, what type of 4? We're not talking about the 4.
Oh no, the 4 types of people. Yeah.
Yes. Okay, leaders. No, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. I picked you on the spot. Hey, but it's good. It just means that you don't know it well enough. I know you know it.
Yeah.
You know it well enough, right? So if you don't know it well enough, if you knew it really well, you just okay. So Randy and Sabrina haven't. Okay. So we have the followers. So what percentage are the group? What are the percentages? We're gonna say them whiners to be a little nicer. What are the percentages of your downlines? What percentage? What are the percentages? Anyone? What are the percentage of leaders? Okay. Oh, it's good that we review. 3% are leaders. Who are the supporters? Okay, supporters, followers, whiners, 27%. Right? Supporters, 5%. Followers. What are the followers? What percentage of the followers? And I muted everyone. Okay. What percentage are the followers? Anyone? What percentage? 65%. Good. You guys can do math. Okay. So I want to emphasize a couple things. And so Jeremy, Andrew, this is good for you guys, and it's good for review. Is that which group of people? Okay, actually, I'm going to unmute Andrew. Sorry, which group of people take up most of your time? Which group of people, Andrew?
Like
take
me
up
personally.
the what?
Me personally, like
which one call you all the time and like suck up your time?
Losers.
oh, okay.
Losers, right?
Yeah.
Suck up your time. All right. Which group are going to quit, regardless of what you do?
Losers.
Losers, right? They're going to quit. So no matter how much time you spend with them, and these are the whiners that complain about authorship being late, or why is the training? Why do I have to pay for training? Or why is the training so early? Why do you have to meet so many times? Why is my the products on back order? Why is the distributor service not open on Sundays? They ask all type of questions. Okay, no matter what you do, I think we've all been in the business long enough. They're going to quit the business. Yeah.
Yeah.
Who are the group that actually are going to take your business to the next level? Leaders, right? That's obvious. Leaders. But most of you, I think every one of us here, when we first started, we didn't really know what to do. We were not leaders yet.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So what were we? Everyone here, we all pretty accomplished a lot of things. What were we? Where were we at?
Followers.
Were we followers, really?
So are supporters.
Supporters, right? So this is where we are. Okay? This is how we started out. So your time manager, who should you be spending time with?
Leaders.
Okay, but maybe your team, they don't have leaders yet, right? So you need to be spending time with these group, right? Supporters.
Yeah.
And you mentor them. This group, they do a little bit. They may get a sign up. Some of them actually may be PPS, Platinum Paysetter, right? But they're not the leaders, right? They don't do much. They get easily demoted, distracted. So these, you put them to the group trainings. Okay, so you need a good training, strong team. Like I know you have Team Affinity, strong team. Jeremy, you have the movement. They can get fed at this group trainings.
Got it.
Really get it, but you need to work one-on-one with all the supporters. Okay, so as a leader, you need to limit your accessibility. Whiners, 2-to-1 from the whiners. Okay. You cannot let your time be sucked up by the whiners. I mean, I just talked to a gold director. I was mentoring him at the this past in Chicago. Like he had so many whiners that complained about auto ship being late because he lived in Chicago and the weather sometimes delayed the shipping. And then they'll complain how come Usana's closed on Sundays, Saturdays. That he would talk to him. He'd be so frustrated afterwards. He had no motivation to prospect anymore. Like he felt like throwing the phone against the wall. He's so frustrated with these people. And then after you spend all this time, they quit anyway, right? So he's very frustrated, almost like burnt out from the business. So what we need to pay attention to is you need to spend your time with the supporters. That's your one-on-one time. The group, the followers, that's when you send them to the group trainings, right? You can't be spending your time, too much time with, talking to them all the time, okay? So, and the whiners, you share them. So Jeremy asked me, how do you talk to the whiners? Give me a specific example, Jeremy. How do you talk? Give me a specific example. Okay, I know you're, I don't know if you're muted. Okay, Jeremy, why don't you type, can you speak?
Yeah, I can speak.
Okay, hold on, let me just unmute you. All right, Jeremy, go ahead. Go ahead. Give me an example.
I guess just like a whiner, mostly on these live events, they just kind of, a lot of my friends and the people that are in my organization, they all work Monday through Friday. So when I try to tell them about the group presentations on Saturday to kind of train them, so many people are unmotivated to go, So I guess I just want to know kind of how you speak to those kind of people. Is it just through email, text, calls? That's about it. Okay,
good question. Okay, before I give my advice, Christina, what would you do with that group of people, that needs to motivate them to go to the trainings on Saturday? Because they don't go Monday, Friday, they have to go on Saturday. What would you do, Christina?
Just get them to go. I mean, just keep inviting them to go on the Saturday training, and if they still don't want, then well, I'll just leave them alone. Because it's too hard work. I mean, we were on a call last night with one of my leaders, and it's a webinar that we set up just last week. They're brand new. They're running for the supposedly Platinum Paysetter, but we spent like half an hour just chasing them out and trying to get them onto the call. I mean, I told my leader this is the last time. We can't waste our time. I could have gone on a prospecting meeting. So we told them, you're wasting my precious time. We could have done a few million other things. This call was set up for you to help and support you. And if you're not interested, then, well, too bad. We can't do this anymore. You just join a group meeting, and if you can't do that, then, well, sorry.
Yeah, that's the answer, Jeremy. So you can promote them, right? Let me ask you something. Let me ask you, Jeremy, if you had a job and busy Monday, Friday, and I told you had to go to a training on Saturday, what would you do? Would you be motivated? Would you still? I know you have problems, you have issues, you're busy. Would you show up on the Saturday training?
Of course. When I started, I had 2 full-time jobs, so it was. Yeah.
You have 2 full-time jobs and you still made it to Saturday, right?
Yeah.
So that's the answer, right? You are looking for the next Jeremy. So like Christina says, your time is way too valuable to talk to them, because those people who don't show up, what's going to end up happening to them anyway?
Yeah, they'll quit, man.
They'll quit anyway, right? So no matter what you do, because the mindset is wrong, right? Now, if they actually make a sincere effort to try to do something to get there, that's one thing. If they don't never show up, never happen. You just let them go. You have to let these people go, because you help them, but you have to see it this way. Now, Jeremy, let me ask you, who are your top 5 guys? Your top 5 supporters?
First, probably Vanessa.
Vanessa, okay.
Wisdom.
Faith, okay.
Chase.
Chase, okay, Chase.
Yep. Luke. And then close 5th would probably be Logan or Terry.
Okay. So your time, instead of trying to convince those whiners to go to the trainings, you should use that time, divert that time to spend with your top 5 people. So you just let these people go. You can you can email them, text them to tell them to go, right? But you cannot be spending time with them. So I'm going to unmute you, Andrew, okay, too. So Andrew, yes, you can't be too much. Now, the thing is, you can teach them about effort into mindset to the whiners, but they don't even show up. So how can you spend time teaching them? Right? Like, the first time they don't show up, you maybe want to spend 10, 15 minutes teaching them, right? Like what Christina did with last night. She had a heart-to-heart talk to them. But if they're not going to show up, you really have to let them go. You give them 1 or 2 chances. Like I said, Andrew, did you ever have that problem about, even though you didn't have you were mentally weren't as strong as now, but when you were busy when you first started out, did you still show up for trainings?
Yeah, all the time.
Yeah, you did. All the time. So exactly, you are looking for the next Andrew, the next Jeremy, the next Simon, next Christina, right? These are the people you're looking for. And like Christina says, I found that someone doesn't need to be taught to have the mindset. They just do the right things.
Simon, I had a question.
Yeah.
Where did you kind of find your leaders, like your next Simons, your next, all these kind of people that are golds, diamonds, rubies? Like, where did you find them?
Okay, good question. Okay, so let me. I'm gonna take a step back. Christine, I'm gonna mute you for a second. So you have to see it this way. This is the way I look at it, right? Again, every one of you could have been the way I look at every one of you, except for maybe Christina, because you joined, I think, around the same time as I did. But everyone else here could have been in my downline. Like Jeremy, you could have been in my downline. Andrew, you could have been in my downline. Right? If I did some advertising or I went out to the boarding community in Long Beach, I probably could have found you and got you into my downline. Some way or another, I could have done marketing, advertising. But what was the only thing that prevented me from getting you in my downline?
Meeting me?
Yeah, meeting. Okay. So what prevented me from meeting you? Time, right? Time. I just didn't have the time. I mean, I could have networked my way. Like, even though I don't know the boarding community, I could probably network my way in there, right?
Yeah.
I could have done something. Andrew, I could have maybe done some advertising in Melbourne, or maybe networked my way in there. The way I see it is like, and the way you should see it, when you go to a convention, every one of those people could have been your downline. So people say the network marketing doesn't work. It absolutely works. Because look how many people are there. Like, you go to an international convention, 10,000 people. I went to Chicago, 1,000 people. All those people could have been my downline. It's not because you don't work hard. Every one of us here works very, very hard. We're all very focused. We all have the hunger, the desire, the why. We all have that. The reason we're not is because of time limitations, right? So, like Andrew, you can expand in Los Angeles if you want. You can do some online marketing, spend time on social media. You can do whatever you want, right? Jeremy, you could be exploding the boarding community, even hitting the surfing community, but you're not because of lack of time. And all these whiners are sucking up your time.
Yeah.
Like Jeremy, we talk about creating a product to tap into the surfing community, the boarding community, right? The extreme sports community. You could do it, but you're not. You haven't done it yet. We're talking for 2 weeks because of time, because all these whiners are sucking up your time.
Dang, yeah.
Right? So you got to let these people go. You give them a chance, you let them go. And like I said, the basic is go to the group trainings, right? That's the basic. You can't even show up for once a week. Because if you can't even make the sacrifice to do that, how are you going to even make the sacrifices to go, to go silver later? Think about even when you went to silver or gold, how many sacrifices you have to make, right? So if you're not willing to do that, it's like you just let them go because they are going to quit regardless, right? But what happens is you have to really focus your time on your top 5 people. So one good example is whatever you learned today, right? Go immediately share with your downlines. Or you can share this. Are you 3%, 5%, 65, 27%? Like all those guys you talked about, Wisdom, Luke, they're all like supporters, right? Like Wisdom's a supporter. He wants to learn, right? He's hungry. So now like someone like Alvin, Alvin's a good follower.
Yeah.
Alvin, but because he always shows up for trainings, right? He may not be the best skilled, but he's always shows up, right? So that's why you have a team like the movement. It's an advantage because the team trainings keep these people motivated and excited, right? We do a Super Saturday, keeps them excited. But you spend your one-on-one time with the supporters. And we talked about this before. In terms of how much time you spend or who you spend time with, you should be only 5 people. 5 people that you spend a lot of time with. That means you should be talking to them every single day. Now we're not talking about chit-chatting, small talk, whatever. 5 minutes every single day. Okay, 5 minutes. 5 minutes for actually, there's a saying: 6 minutes for 6 figures. Right? Every day. Hey, what's wisdom? What's going on? How's your business? How's the prospecting? If you learn something new, maybe you read it from a book, you're excited, or you learn from a training, share with them immediately. Hey, this is what I learned. This is a technique. Right? And then use your judgment what to share with them, but you're always talking to motivate them.
Heck yeah.
Okay, so those are the 5. And by the way, you can't, if you really want, we talked about this before, the power of 5. Some reason I can't think of the name. The military term, Randy, that we talked about last time. You could only work with 5 people at one time. 5 people. Okay, so meaning you want to work closely with 5 people. What's the name? The power of.
Hey Simon, is it ideal to try to work with one person on each leg, or multiple people, or how do you kind of do that?
Okay, that's a great question. Okay, again, it goes to this thing. Where are they? I only work with supporters or leaders. Well, here's the thing: when they're leaders, what are leaders? The difference between let's go back a little bit. The supporters and the leaders is like Jeremy. When you first started, you did everything Suman told you, right?
Yeah.
So you're immediately that's a supporter. You're hungry. If Suman needs to do a training, you would do it, right? And you may even do it better than he did, right? You're dynamic, but the difference is you did not know what to do by yourself. You may not come up with something. Hey, this is what I'm going to do. Suman will guide you and tell you, and then you do it. And then one day you just, one day you maybe grew, quote unquote, grew up and say, hey, I can do things on my own, right?
Yeah.
He didn't need to tell you. You just had ideas. You start doing your things on your own. He didn't need to call you. Hey, how many people are you going to talk to? You just went off and got customers and start expanding your business, right? You kind of like, it's not breaking away from the upline, but you're on your own. You know what to take. Like you still use your upline for help, support, but you didn't need to be told what to do. You're like you have your own self-initiative. That's when you become a leader. And that's when it's like me. I used my upline for everything, and then one day I just decided I'm going to go to Malaysia. My upline couldn't help me, but I'm going to go out anyway. Right? Like kind of Nancy. Nancy started her own team. Just went out and did it. Right? Did her own trainings. That's when you know you're a leader. You're 3%ers. Now,
Damn.
when you're a 3%er, you still talk to your leaders, but you probably don't need to spend as much time talking to them because they're doing their own thing. You just make sure they're producing results, helping them out. But in the meantime, what you need to spend time with is with the supporters. So, like Andrew or Jeremy, you don't, or Randy, or Sabrina, none of you, or Christine, none of you have any leaders yet, real leaders. Because if you had a leader, you'd be maxed out on one leg already. That leader would easily bring in 3, 4, 5,000 points a week. Okay, but you probably don't have someone. None of you have anyone that brings in 3,000 points a week, right? Not yet. So
No.
you don't have that leader yet, but you do have supporters. So you work to spend time with the supporters. So in terms of what you build on each leg, who you work with, I work with the supporters. So I don't go by how many people on each leg. Okay, just because I have one person, 5 people there, but 4 are followers and one's a whiner, I mean, I don't spend that much time with them. Because again, the statistics show they're not going to do much, right? My most valuable time, your most valuable time is finding that leader. So I'd rather use that time to be prospecting or finding a new person.
Dang, yeah.
Okay, so no matter what you do with those followers, losers, they're not going to change, right? Jeremy, you need to be spending your time on bringing new people in.
Yeah.
Now, by the way, this whole structure is the same as it applies to all organizations, right? It's the same as like the church. The church, 27% people complain about the service is too early, sermon's too long, it's boring, it's hot. 65% just go to church on Sundays and they don't do much. 5% are like the associate pastors, they help out, they're deacons, right? Small group Bible study leaders, and then 3% are like the pastors. And it's the same thing with a job. Job, 1 out of 4 people complain about a job. 65% they just go to work. That's it. They're going through the motions. 5% they actually like the junior managers, right? Junior management, like the managers, directors, senior directors, and then 3% are like the CEO, CFO, CIOs. So it's the same with all organizations. Now, does it make sense? So how I found the people, Jeremy asked, okay, so my goals, let's see, they're all different. Okay, some are white, some are. By the way, is anyone here? Let's see, American football fans. I bet you, if you like football, okay. I'm talking about American football or the NBA, right? The NBA. You have first NBA, the first team NBA, second NBA, third team NBA. Okay. Hi, Ethan. Guam in now, okay? So I'm sorry, my son's in here. My son Ethan's walking around, opening doors now. So the NBA, first team NBA is 5 people, right? Second team NBA is 5 people. Third team NBA is 15 people. So these are the top 15 NBA players in all NBA. And actually, if you do the numbers, it's like 450 teams, 450 NBA players in the NBA. What's 15 divided by 450? It's actually 3%. So it's actually pretty. And then I think the Major League Baseball, All-Stars, NFL is actually the same ratio. The whole society, how we are, is based on this pyramid.
Wow.
And you could probably do it for if you're Australian football or whatever, concert pianist. If you look at the salaries of like musicians that play, it's the same. This is basically the same. Okay.
Hey, Simon, I have a question then.
Yeah.
So if it's all kind of numbers things, is it just important to keep just prospecting, presenting, bringing new people? And then once you kind of, like, how do you kind of suggest the supporters? Are they the one that just keep showing up or keep messaging you? Or, like, how do you kind of distinct somebody like that?
Okay, the supporters, yeah, they keep messaging me. They think of it this way. They're like the next Jeremy Wright. They're hungry. They want to do stuff.
Would a supporter be someone who sticks even if you didn't write back to them? Would they be like, hey, I'm going to make this happen with or without Simon. I just saw the opportunity. Is that kind of like somebody or?
Yeah, if there's someone that says, hey, with or without Jeremy, I'm going to make it, that's a support. That's a great attitude.
Got it. Okay.
Right? Well, first of all, you can look at that. First of all, you got to judge by performance. Right? If the person hasn't sponsored anyone, it's not even platinum pay setter, probably not a supporter. But then again, I was not a platinum pace setter, but I had an attitude to learn, right? Maybe the skills was not there. I didn't have the skills. It took me a couple months to get the skills, but I was reading books. I was showing up for trainings, right? When upline called me, I would call my upline. I didn't have the skills, but I had the desire, the heart. So, for example, I have this new guy who I sponsored. It's been 5 weeks. He hasn't sponsored anyone yet, but he texts me all the time while on the phone while we're doing the training. He texts me like, "Was that what when's my break between the mastermind sessions? I could do 3 ways." Right? So that guy is good because he's contacting me. Normally, a good way to see who's good or not is like feeding energy, right? If I give you energy, it's like playing tennis. If I hit the ball to you, you can hit the ball back to me. So if I call you, Jeremy, you get back to me, right?
Yeah.
I tell you about training. You go to the training, I share with you. I pass the ball to you. And then after the training, you message me back. So, I'm so excited. This is what I did. Then I have the ball. And then I got to go back to you. So I'll say, hey, how are you applying it? What do you plan to do this week? And then you come back to me, hey, these are my goals for this week. Right? So we go back and forth. If I find myself, I do a training, I give it to you, but you didn't get back to me, then you have the ball, right? You have the energy. You didn't pass it back to me. Then I know this guy is probably not that. It's just like when you learn, right? When you learn something at the beginning, Jeremy, you didn't have to assume him to ask you. You probably got back to him right away. You got excited. Yeah. You shared with him. Hey, this is what that was so awesome, right?
Yeah, I annoyed him. I was too excited.
Yeah, so that is always good, right? It's like we did a training, the coaching master, the last week's session. Immediately you got back to me. That's energy. I taught you, you fed the energy back. Right? So that's when you know someone's a supporter. There's be constant communication. And the ones that keep calling you for I'm not talking about like doing admin work and help, but hey, how do I prospect? I want to learn. What is this? When you're eager to learn, that's when you know someone's a supporter.
I love it. Thank you.
Okay. Those are the people you need to spend time with, not the ones who are asking, oh, why is the training? You need to motivate them to go up for training. Your mindset is really, I'm looking for the next leader. Now, how do I find my people? My goals, one of them is a warm market. Another one of my goals was my goals warm market, so I helped them develop her. The Philippines was basically from Facebook advertising I did. Okay, from the Facebook advertising, I got tons of leads. I sponsored like 20 people. 19 of them all became nothing. Okay, but one person became Ed Miguel. Okay, so that's 1 out of 20, but that's all it takes. So Ed Miguel led to Mel Clarion. Mel Clarion led to Billy De La Fuente, and now Natsunio. So all you need is one. So with the 20 people, if you look at it that way, I probably lost like $1,000, $2,000 in advertising. But once you get a good person, then it pays for itself. For infinity, right? Because Max is a leg out forever. One of my Malaysian goals is through advertising. It was like Google advertising a long, long time ago. Another one of them was that my downlines found them. Now, another thing you need to start doing is called rooting. Okay, rooting, which is, rooting means. So, by the way, you guys know this? You can only work with 5 people at the same time. All right? So, that means, Jeremy, if you're working more than 5 people close, when I say working 5 people intensely, because you can't work with 10 people intensely. It actually hurts all those 10 people or 7 people because you're giving them expectation, thinking that you're going to really mentor them, but you're not going to have the time to mentor that many people. Okay? So, 5 people are the ones like your right-hand man, right-hand woman, you're spending a lot of time with, training and mentoring. Okay, you can't be doing more than 5. And if 5 comes from military, that's why the Pentagon is 5. You can really only work with 5. 6 or 7, that means you're spreading yourself too thin. And then you sacrifice your prospecting time. Only 5 people. So the rooting, meaning that we talked about this, it's good to know again. It's like, I just don't work with the people that I personally sponsor. If I found, like, for example, Jeremy, if you're my downline and I found someone like Wisdom that I think is good, has a great attitude, I immediately go in there and start building a relationship with them. And I'm going to ask you, is it okay if I talk to him and work with him as well? Right? I let you know, and if you're cool with it, I start working with them immediately, start training, giving higher level coaching to them. Okay, I don't really, the same thing with Lucas. I just don't let them go out there and like let wisdom train them, right? I start working if as long as wisdom is okay with it, I start working with Lucas. Okay, hey, give me 1 second. Let me just get rid of this crying babies. Hold on. All right, sorry about that. Hey, so Christina, I think I should change my niche to. You said you're a business mom. I should call it business dad. Running a business with babies. Okay, so what is a good word? So if root is not good, then what's a good, better word to use? What about tap rooting? Tap rooting? No good? All right, so I won't use that word in Oz, but it's just to build deep. Okay, building deep. And then Andrew, you can let me know what that word means.
Yeah, sure.
Okay. So Jeremy, so that's what I talk about. So you got to work. I just don't work with the people I personally sponsor, but I will go deeper. Anyone that my dad. So two of my gold directors from Malaysia were not ones that I sponsored. Remember, there's a saying: the duds find the studs. Duds find the studs. I was actually in Chicago. Perfect example of people who were great associates, sponsored by someone, but the upline had quit already. They quit the business. But they are going to be, I can tell they were like, oh, when we did the master's coaching, these are going to be potential superstars, right? So if you have a dud that's someone that quit but brought the person in, I would start working with the person. Okay, any questions about any other questions before we move on? Okay, so one of the most painful things, this is related to this, the most painful, okay, is when you give advice to people that don't want to hear your advice. Right? You ever know that people like that? You give advice to people, they don't want to hear your advice. Does it make sense? So it's like prospects. Okay, I should say, you give free advice to people that don't want to hear your advice. One of the most painful things with free advice. So you're giving great, maybe it could be training, marketing, or like the health tips to people that don't want to hear it. And not only it upsets them, but it hurts you more that you're going out there. You really want to help them, right? Now, this is actually for Nancy here. Even worse than this. That's the second. Actually, this is the second most painful. Second most painful thing. Second most painful thing. The most painful thing is giving right? Giving free advice. The most painful thing is giving free advice to family members that don't want to hear your advice. Okay, family members, relatives is the worst. Okay, so it's like these are your old prospects. Painful finding them, and no matter what you say, you can never convince them. You guys relate to this, right? You ever had this before? So it's like once you're at the leadership level, don't even start there. I brought this up because Nancy, you're listening to this. We were talking about this in Chicago. We were like hanging out, and she had messaged something from Dr. Christine Wood about Dr. Christine Wood did a presentation and about health, and Nancy's sister goes to Harvard, so she's Harvard. Of course, she's smarter than everyone, right? She's Harvard. So Nancy sends her this one thing, one slide that she took that just to help her out, shared this one thing. And her sister actually studying biology. And all of a sudden, her sister sends her back this whole whole 1-page email. I don't know how many paragraphs, whole page email about this whole thing about this. All it was Nancy took one picture, sent it to her to help her, and she comes back, because she's doing her own thing. Harvard sister, whole 3-4 paragraphs, and then it's just it's upsetting sometimes to get that type of feedback, right? Especially you want to do good. So it's like, and it's her own sister too. So it's like, as leaders, we know there's some areas we don't tread on because it's only bad news. We save our time. It's not just our time, but our mental energy. And even though we want to help them, you just pass on it. Right? Because otherwise, it just mentally drains you. It's another time sucker that wastes your time. All right, so I want to talk about a couple of things about leadership here is integrity. Right? So one of the things about with leadership, what does the word integrity mean? Integrity. What does integrity mean? What does the word integrity mean? Agree, okay, it means agree. Loyalty. Integer, right? Jeremy, what do you think integrity means? Okay, do the right thing when no one is around. Right? What does integrity mean? Honest and sincere. Okay, Sabrina, what does integrity mean? Jeremy, what does it mean? Integrity. It's honest, okay? Doing the right thing. Doing the right thing even when no one's looking, right? Doing the right thing. So the word really comes from, and Patrick got it, comes from the word integer. Integer means 1, right? Integer means 1. That means you're consistent. You're the one person at all times. It's not like you have two, some people have two faces, or they say one thing and then do another thing. Integer means 1. You're always consistent. Right? And it's important when you first start, the earlier you start off, the better, is your leadership is about integrity. So whatever you say, that is what you do. And it's important to get the loyalty, doing the right thing when no one's around, being honest and sincere. Everything counts. Remember, with leadership, everything counts. So one good example, like Jeremy, you're going to hear this from Sue Min or from others. Here's a great example. Super Saturday. We just started these great Super Saturday meetings in Long Beach, in Los Angeles, right? So I just found out this past weekend that in our last event, we had about, I think 300 people there. 300 people there. So that's a pretty good event for Super Saturday. 300 people. Okay. And the last couple of events have been going 300 to 400 people. But, okay, about 140 people did not pay and came in as guests. All right? So what does this mean when 140 people did not pay and came in as guests? Do you think actually 50% of the room was prospects? Did not, right? So there's definitely associates there that did not pay, taking a free ride and not paying. So they snuck in. So what's going to happen is like Jeremy, this is actually very important. If people don't start paying, be honest, the events are going to be canceled. We got a great event happening right now, and it's going to be canceled, really, because the people who are doing all this hard work, they need to break even. We need about a certain amount of people to break even, and if we have these people who don't pay, so we have to go out there and emphasize. It goes back to integrity, right? Go back to integrity. The leader again. What if the leader goes out? And sometimes you have to understand the new distributor. They may go in there and saying, "Oh, I don't need to pay because I'm not making much money." Right? But you have to teach them. It's the mindset. If they are sooner or later, they're going to be leaders, and if they don't pay, their downlines will not going to pay either. And the next thing you know, that event's not going to happen. So as crazy as it sounds, I don't know, Jeremy, you remember those two silver directors that were on stage? They actually did recognition. The two new silver directors went on stage. Remember those guys? Okay. Those two guys were silver directors, and they were wearing guest badges. They did not pay. Okay, they were wearing red badges and did not pay. So think about it's actually embarrassing. But they probably don't know because they've never been trained. They say, I'm going to get a free ride. I'm not making much money. I can save $10. But it sets a terrible precedent for the downlines. So as leaders, we have to teach the integrity. And so even sometimes there may be small little things that we can get away with. We cannot do. We always have to remember everyone's watching at all times. Okay, everyone's watching. So integrity, small little things. Just start paying attention to them. Paying attention to them. Now, okay, so Randy asked a good question. I pay for my downline's first event. I would pay for them if they. Now, let me ask you, Randy. Great question. If you're downline, what percentage? What type of downline are they on? What group of person? Are they leaders, supporters, followers, or losers? What are they? Have they sponsored anyone yet? Have they performed yet? Have they sponsored anyone? Gotten customers? See, first of all, I would not pay them because if they got customers, that means they performed, right? Even though they haven't sponsored them when they got customers, it's a tough thing. I mean, I paid for other people before. What I would do is it's like I would maybe split it with them. I say it's very important. Let's do 50-50. And if it's a judgment call, right? Because also, if you do it for one person, can you do it for everyone? Just say you sponsored. I mean, how much was the ticket? But how much was the ticket? How much was the ticket, Randy? You paid $20. Okay. So I would, for $20, it's not that much money. I mean, what I would do is maybe if I felt they were good, hey, say 10, I'll split it with them, 10-10. Right, that's the most I would do. But even I'm reluctant to do that because that's setting the wrong precedent. It's the mindset training these people that you have to invest in your own development. In fact, if they refuse to do it, 20 maybe is too much money. They're broke, whatever it is. But at least I'll get them to invest half of it. And they also have to understand, will they have to invest for their downlines too, right? I think the culture, the presence is very bad. If it's like a $300, $400 event, and there may be support, and if it's a legitimate, okay. So I've invested for downlines, paid them to go to a seminar for $300-$400. Okay, I've done that, okay. But that person was actually sponsored, a silver director, and actually really did not have the money. So I actually spent $300-$400 to get them to an event. That actually helped them out. But if it was for $20, you can't even invest $20. It's really tough. I mean, even 50-50, I would really would not do that because you're setting the wrong precedent, the wrong culture. And if they don't show up, it's really, I mean, yeah, maybe, like I said, maybe at most 50-50, get them there. But it's like Patrick says, they feel like they have to do that for their downlines as well. Right? Again, if it's like a $300-$400 thing, and I feel like sincerely they don't have it, they have to pay the rent, they can't do it. Even though we know everyone can, maybe I'll make an exception. But for $20, I wouldn't. So another thing you can do is if you rank advance, you reward them, right? In an incentive. Another thing you could do that was helpful would be you can say to them, you invest in this, and if you rank advance within 90 days, I will pay you back the money. Right? So that's another thing. Because if you're committed to it, if you rank advance within 90 days, then I'll pay you the money back. So that's something you can do for like a monthly, like for example, like a mastermind monthly coaching that I do. Hey, you do it. If you get your rank advance, then I'll pay you the money back. So you have nothing to lose. So you're gonna win one anyway because you attend the coaching event, you're gonna learn, and then you're gonna rank advance. So basically, it's for free, right? And then they will have motivation to work the business as well. So that's something you can do. All right, so let me move on and okay, so let's talk a little shifting gears about Facebook, social media, because I was at the event on social media, okay, and we're going to talk about getting to top 1%, okay? Not what the masses do. And so some of the things I'm going to share probably will go against a lot of the trainings you've listened to. Also, probably go against some of the trainings you may have heard, like from this past weekend in Chicago, some of the social media and internet marketing trainings. Okay, so with the internet, just by the way, no one really knows. When I say internet online, do you agree that no one really knows what's going on? Do you guys agree that no one really knows what's going on? Okay, it's not like network marketing. Network marketing is pretty much, it's like, this is it, right? You prospect, present, and you train, right? Prospect, present, and you train. Internet, it's always changing very fast, right? So, and then there's training for the supporters, and then the things that you want to do if you want to get to the top 1%. Now, if you're the top 1%, can you do what everyone else is doing? You can't do what everyone else is doing. You always got to be different. So we mentioned this before. Every one of those top income earners, okay, you almost like not even Fortune 25, Fortune 50, or Fortune 100, okay, Fortune 100, really. If you want to get to the top 100, you got to be doing something that no one else is doing. You got to be specialized in one thing that other people don't have, right? And that's just not necessarily duplicatable. And so, meaning, like, for example, Nancy's has a great Gen Y team. Is that something I could do, or someone, or Christina could do? Maybe, maybe not, right? But maybe that's her specialty. But Christina could do something with moms that Nancy probably could not do, right? Or Rita Hui does China that Jeremy cannot do because he doesn't speak Chinese. So everyone is a top incomer has a little secret, little thing that other people cannot do. And we live in a world of abundance, plenty for everyone, right? So it's like, the secrets never run out. So, like, for example, I got started. I have an advantage was because I got into Asia, right? How did I do Asia? Because I knew Google pay-per-click back then, way before everyone else did. I worked on it. Now, unfortunately, it doesn't work anymore, right? But that's how I got started. And then I did Facebook advertising before everyone else got started. Now everyone's doing Facebook advertising. I've been doing Facebook advertising back in 2008. Okay, when people are still doing it, but way cheaper, much easier. Now it's much harder. So one of the things you got to think about, we talked about, if you want to be successful, you got to do the opposite, right? Do the opposite of what everyone else does. So if everyone watches TV, you don't watch TV. If everyone complains, we're positive. We don't need to talk about those obvious things in this group, guys, because we do the opposite of what everyone else does already. So yeah, Jeremy, I'm gonna speak about Rita Hui later on. Okay, it's actually one of the recorded trainings you can listen to. I did one session back in October, November about it. You can go back and listen to it. So to be successful, you gotta do the opposite. What I call zig when others zig, when others zig, you zag. Okay, when everyone's going here, you go there. So one good example about this, something to be conscious of, and again, I'm not saying I know everything. But when you do Facebook now, what do most people tell you to do? Facebook marketing. What do people tell you to do with Facebook? What do people tell you to do? What's the first couple of things? Well, let me ask you, what do you guys know about Facebook marketing? What do you guys know about Facebook marketing? Okay, so you create a fan page. What else? Right? Create a fan page. What else? Anything else with Facebook? Flyers and tag people. Okay? Post status pictures. Okay? Build an ad. Okay, good. So let me ask you something, like to elaborate. Okay, when you say, Andrew, flyers and tag people, what do you mean, flyers and tag people? Okay, and Sabrina, what do you mean by post status pictures? What pictures do you post? And then Randy, what type of ad do you build? Building an ad to generate lead to what? What is the ad supposed to do? What's the ad supposed to do? So creating a fan page, I think everyone has heard this before, right? I think we've heard this driven down many, many times, creating a fan page. But what do you mean by flyers and tag people? And you can speak if you want.
Okay. Yeah. For example, an upcoming event, Big Health and Freedom. If you're, if you've got a diamond director coming down, guest speakers, just make your own team flyer, post on Facebook, tag all your team, and eventually someone from their Facebook group's going to see that tagging, and it will intrigue like-minded people.
Okay, good. Okay, and then Sabrina says, post positive status, my daily picture that can draw others' attention. All right, good. Okay, so those are three good things to build an ad that leads to clicks and a capture page, right? Okay, these are all right things that you should be doing. I'm not saying they're not. Again, things are always changing. So I'll share something that I'm just going to focus on. Okay, one thing that is that people talked about this past weekend is creating a fan page. I'm sure everyone, I know many of you have fan pages. Jeremy, I think you have a fan page. Andrew, you have a fan page. Christina, I think you have a fan page, right? So they talked about this in Chicago at the USANA event to help people create fan pages. So if 1,000 people, right now, there's so many fan pages, who actually has credibility? It goes back to trust. If everyone has fan pages, a fan page is worth anything anymore. Right? So, again, think about zig and zag. Again, not that I'm just sharing something again. Something that's very, what do you call it? Cutting edge. It's not like a secret. So don't share with others, okay? From what I found out recently, my personal page works better than my fan page. Recently. Okay? So my personal page, and I actually, right after I found this out myself, because I actually do a lot of testing and I have Google Analytics, things like that. Then I found out that someone else I read somewhere in some marketing seminar that I got as well. Right? So why? So the thing is, I'm not saying don't have a fan page. You do need a fan page, especially if you don't have a website. You do need some type of fan page, at least to represent you. So Jeremy asks you, Jeremy, why is your personal page better than your fan page? Why is your personal page better than your fan page? What's going on? Okay, your 400 person request, and you can speak if you want to make it easier. Why is your personal page? And I'm going to type in a couple of reasons why. The fan pages were great, but now not good because you have to advertise in order to promote. Right now, only 1% of your fans see your posts. This is your fan page post. Right? 1% of your fans see your fan page post. So only 1%. That means if you have 1,000 fans, only 10 people see it. Facebook is not showing your fan page stuff to your fans unless you spend the money to advertise. And even if you spend money to advertise, do you have a product on the back end that makes that money back? If you spend $100 to publicize or post your fan page, do you have the money, the income to draw it back? Probably none of you guys have anything, right? Even if you have someone sign up USANA, it's very hard to make that money back on the front end. So if 1% of your fans see your fan page post, then no one's going to see it. So that's why a lot of people are really upset about Facebook. These companies invested so much time and money creating these beautiful fan pages, and now Facebook saying you have to spend money in order for people to see your post. But on your personal page, how many people get to see your personal page? Right? People see your personal based on the edge rank. Any of you heard of edge rank? Edge rank. So edge rank is a fancy is the algorithm they use for determining whether you show up or not. So, for example, if I comment on a lot, for example, Christina, if I comment on a lot of your pictures, your posts, you'll like them, that means Facebook knows that we have a good relationship with each other, right? We're probably close friends. And then my posts and my feeds will show up more. My posts and pictures will show up more on your feed. Okay? If I don't know you well, I don't like it, I don't click on your pictures much, then you're not going to, my stuff will not show up on you that much. Does that make sense? Okay, so for example, I know which people are checking out. It's funny. I actually know who checks out, who's looking into my profile and looking at, wants to know more about my family and my wife. Like my wife, Kelly. Because when Kelly's feed, she actually has some like USANA friends on there. And all of a sudden, people that she doesn't even know well pops up on her feed. And the reason they pop on her feed, because those are the people are clicking on Kelly's profiles. They're looking to see what she's doing, posting, or maybe liking them or checking out her pictures. So everything that you do, that means if that person is clicking on Kelly, that means Facebook thinks that, hey, her and Kelly are good friends. So like when they have updates, their updates will pop on Kelly's feed. So these are friends that Kelly doesn't know well. She'll say, hey, who are these people? I don't even know them that well. But why do they keep showing up? Then I know, well, these are the people checking her out. So you follow? You got this? Okay, everyone got this? So edge ranks the algorithm. So if I want, so Sabrina does not show up, so for a great example, Sabrina doesn't show up as often as Jeremy does. Because Jeremy's probably clicking on my pages, commenting or posting or tagging me a lot more than Sabrina is, right? Like Andrew shows up more than Randy does. Andrew's probably clicking on a lot of stuff, tagging me, creating flyers, whatever. So Facebook determines who shows up on your feed based on your interactivity and your, and this is something that's controlled by the personal page, right? So, so you don't use Facebook, okay? That's why. Well, that's why you don't show up, okay? So I'm going to answer your question in a second, Jeremy. So one way is if I'm posting things on my fan page, my prospects may not even see it because only 1% is seeing it. But say I have a prospect, John Smith. If I want John Smith to show up, for my stuff to show up on John Smith, all I have to do is go on to John Smith and start spending time on his profile. So if I'm engaging more, it's all about engagement. If I'm commenting, if I'm liking, if I'm tagging pictures, whatever, and then we have interaction, he's commenting mine, I'm commenting his, all of a sudden my stuff will show on him. So if you're marketing yourself like a lifestyle picture, posting status, right? If you post on your fan page, no one's going to see it. Post on your personal, you can actually have somewhat control of who you show up to. So I think, isn't this is pretty big? Would you say that? If you have a prospect, spend time on their pages. Because if you're interacting, again, the more interaction is, it's not just you checking out. If you have two-way interaction, that increases the frequency of your post on their feed. Exactly. So you're interested in them first, right? Now, if you go out there and clicking on everyone, but they don't click back on you and there's no interaction, then Facebook knows that you're just clicking around, right? They may show your feed once in a while, but if they interact with you and you interact with them, then it increases the chances of the feed appearing. But if you don't interact with them, then they never pop up. Okay, they don't pop up. So if because you just can't sit there and just click on everyone and then think that Facebook's going to show, right? You may be stalking them, but they got to show interest in you too, right? But if you exchange some dialogue or your Facebook tracks where you're messaging them, right, it makes sense. Just like it's common sense. Think about it. It's Facebook is like it's like a human. If I'm messaging Nancy back and forth, obviously we have a relationship. We're friends. Facebook will show Nancy stuff on my feed. My feed, my stuff will show on Nancy's feed, right? Because we message each other. It's not just one message. We message back and forth, right? If I'm messaging Christina back and forth or clicking, her stuff will show on my thing, right? If I'm messaging Andrew, obviously we have a relationship. My stuff will show on his. So if you just click on it, it doesn't work. But here is that you can actually control if you have specific prospects or people you want to target, or maybe like you're connecting with people from high school or something. You can actually building that interaction. Your feed will show up. Okay? As opposed to fan page, spend a little time, 1% has it. Right? Your post doesn't show up. So so Jeremy, one of the things with your the problem with the personal pages, you only have 5,000 fans, right? After 5,000 fans, you can't get any more. So some of the strategies you can do is I actually delete it. Okay. First of all, you don't want to be at 5,000 because if you're at 5,000, you can't add any more fans. You want to keep it maybe at 4,900 a little bit so you can add some people you really want to friend. Okay, some people you really want to friend, you add them. And then the other ones I would, if you just copy just see what I do, I encourage people to subscribe to public updates. So if you subscribe to my public updates, they can see my status updates. Okay, so I actually have a fan page. I do have a fan page, but I put content up there, and that drives people to encourage them to subscribe to my updates. So Sabrina says, does that mean the people that show up on my personal page are interested on me and have a high probability to my prospect? Probably because if they're showing up on your personal page, on your news feed, that means they are maybe interested in you, or you have contacted them in the past, or you frequently contact them. Facebook will show that the people that show up on the news feed are the ones that if they interact or click on interest in you, that means they'll show up on the news feed. Does that answer your question, Sabrina? Okay, so I can tell who shows up my news feed, normally it's the people I'm interacting with, right? If I'm interacting with a lot, they'll show up. Like PK Ong and Christina, I interact with PK, so his feed pops up all the time, right? But people who I don't interact with, they don't pop up. So this allows you to actually market. So again, this is something that I just found out recently. Again, it may change later on. Okay, who knows? Because when people are zigging, you zag. Everyone's doing fan pages. Maybe you work on your personal page instead. So actually, if you look at what I've been doing, I've been spending more time on my personal page rather than my fan page. But I still do stuff on my fan page, but more of my interaction is on the personal page. And you actually look at it, if you compare my fan pages and my personal page, there's way, way more interaction there. And it makes sense because, again, Facebook doesn't show my fan page. Only 1% you get it, right? Well, there's a lot more people see my post. Again, if no one sees your post, it's like invisible. No one knows. It doesn't even exist. The only one advantage of the fan page that I see right now, one advantage is Google SEOs the fan page. So you guys know SEO, when you type in a search, fan pages appear on Google SEO, but personal pages are hidden from Facebook hides the personal data from Google. So Google actually can't see what Facebook's doing. But in the fan pages out in the public, you can see. That's another reason why you should have a profile in LinkedIn. Okay, LinkedIn, like especially Christina, you should have a profile on LinkedIn because LinkedIn's pages appear on Google. So if someone types in Christina Cheng, and you have like a very odd, not a unique name, not like a lot of Christina Chengs in the world, right? So if people type in Christina Cheng, your LinkedIn profile will actually pop up on Google. So that's one of the advantages of LinkedIn. All right. So, yeah, Christina, yes, I could spend time on this in the leaders training in Australia. If people want to learn it, just put a list of things. I could talk about this all day. So it depends on what the leaders want, a balance. It's same thing with you, Andrew. If you guys want me to do team trainings, what I want to talk, what you want me to talk about in Australia, I can talk about social media marketing all day. I actually enjoyed talking about it, but you probably want to balance a prospecting and so you let me know how the leaders want to do it, Christina. And I'll be more than happy to talk about blogging, list building, websites, um, funded proposals, social media, Twitter. Okay. Um, there's one other thing I want to bring up about writing. Okay, writing, creating content. Okay, engaging content. Of course, I want to bring up Jeremy's blog. Jeremy, can I bring up your blog? Okay, so Jeremy's blog, to his credit, he's working on creating his blog, and you guys can check out his blog. Oh, one thing, Jeremy, your website needs to be updated. The website you gave me for the newspaper, for the magazine, it's still a 404 that doesn't exist. So you got to fix that. You got to be fix it ASAP. Because I actually checked it this weekend. At the end of your article, the website, it goes to a website that doesn't exist. So if you don't have it ready yet, just forward it to this website. Just do a domain for it. Okay, so you can read Jeremy's blog for jeremywright.blogspot.com. Okay, so just really quick tips. Okay, if you read some basic tips on writing to make it more interesting. When you write any type of blog post, I'm not talking about Facebook blog post, right? A couple of things about post. Okay, I'll give you a bonus. Here's a Facebook tip. When you post on Facebook, right? Create something that gets engagement. Create engagement. So how do you create engagement? What are some ways you can create engagement on a social media post? What are some ways you can create engagement? How do you create engagement? Because remember, the more engaged you are, that means it builds the relationship, right? And then it shows up in the news feed. So what are some ways you create engagement? Exactly. Asking a question, right? Very simple. Asking a question, tagging others, right? So when you post something, come up with something to ask a question, right? So a good example is like if you tag something about like USANA came out prenatal vitamins, right? What do you think of this product that came out? How would you take advantage of this great product? What would your strategy be in terms of promoting this product? If you had a top nutritional company that came out with also top prenatal, how would you promote this product? So get people engaging on this, right? What's the best ride in Disneyland, right? So something like that. You create engagement, asking questions. Okay. So that's a tip. Now let's talk about blogging or writing or emails. If you write emails to downlines, right? I know some like Christina, you write emails to downlines. A couple of things, and I had given Jeremy this feedback. When you open it up, open with something related to current news or something that happened in your life. So, for example, you can, if you read this blog coming up, I opened talking about going back to Chicago, how Chicago brought back memories when I used to work at a job, right? So how I was sick of that job. So you open with something current news, right? Find something current. So Jeremy actually had a post where he talked about becoming this mastermind, having a coach. Instead of just telling people about having a coach, because people don't relate to that. Find somewhere in the news or find something in the news that people can relate to, or something about you that they know about already. So 2 examples of Jeremy would be Okay, let me ask you something. What's something I'm going to ask Randy? Randy, what's something going on right now in sports? Right, and what's something going on in sports right now? And these athletes have coaches. What's something that's going on right now? What's something that's going on in the sports world right now? And all these athletes have coaches. What's what's the current news? And I'm asking Randy because Randy knows this answer. What's happening right now? What's exciting in sports right now? Nothing? Okay, so maybe Randy stepped away, right? Okay, so what's happening right now? Okay, the draft playoffs. Okay, so the NBA playoffs, right? The NBA playoffs. So again, your market, like for example, Randy, use you as an example. Your market, they like basketball. Maybe your friends like basketball. So the NBA playoffs, right? The NBA playoffs is a very exciting time. But all the top players, they have coaches too. I know like LeBron James, they have workout coaches, they have trainers to make them better. Even though they're the best players, they have coaches. So one of the things I did was I recently, in my business, I got a coach as well. Right, so that's one way that Jeremy could tie it in. Okay, he's writing about becoming part of his mastermind for me to coach him. Okay, that's one way he can tie it in. Another thing he could have done is, hey, I'm a bodyboarder. I bought it, and one of the things when I first started, I wasn't that good, but I had people that were mentors at Upline to help me, mentors in bodyboarding to help me, and that helped me get to be one of the best boarders in the world. And now that I'm a serious businessman, I realized I needed to do the same thing. I have a business coach as well. So, Jeremy, if your audience that knows you as a boarder instantly can relate to you, right? Then now, if you talk basketball, that may not make sense to them. But they know you would. I know when you first started picking up board, you weren't good. You're just like every kid. But somehow you had people that taught you, right? You boarded. You taught. You had someone that taught you how to be good. So now that you have your own business, you have people that teach you to be good too. So that immediately, subconsciously, like an unconscious message, subtle message is like, hey. Think about it. Jeremy Wright, newbie in boarding, had a coach, had some mentor, became superstar. Now Jeremy, serious in the business, has a coach. People automatically think what's going to happen to him. He's going to be a superstar too, right? You're unconsciously planting seeds in their mind, like marketing. Okay, so that is how I will open it up, and then you can talk about. If you read this again, everyone should go to this blog and look at read it, and then now should you redo it? Only if it doesn't take too much of your time. I mean, here's something I will not redo it. Another thing about blogging, make it consistent. You got to have a consistent schedule. Whether you're going to do it once a month or once every 2 weeks, come up with something consistent. Instead of going back and working on it, I will actually maybe you don't have. First of all, Jeremy, you're full time. You should have time. Maybe every Tuesday, every Thursday. For your next one, go work on this. Okay? So forget about what's in the past. 3 years from now, no one's going to remember about it. Who cares? So you make the next one, right? Think about what you're going to talk about and tie it in with current news. Now, the second thing is when you talk about the business coach, the income, all that, don't just talk about you talk about you had a great week in USANA. You had a very good week. Why was it good? What happened? Right? People just don't want to hear the fluff. Oh, you made a lot of money. Oh, whoopee-doo. Who cares? Like, how does that apply to me? What did you do that I can learn? All right? How did you make it good? Maybe you were persistent in your follow-up. Maybe you learned a new technique to sign up someone. Maybe it was just hard. Maybe it was just persistence. You talked to people and finally someone signed up. Right? You talked to forever. Maybe you just stayed mental. Maybe you worked a little bit more. How did you make that income? Okay. And then the last part is you tag them. Say, hey, I had a great week. You can always engage them, challenge them. What are some things you want to do? How can you make the next great week? Or you ask them, do you have a business coach? Right? Again, we're talking about different topics here. You actually talked about a lot of different topics, which is way too much. You talked about coach, business coach, and you talked about how a great USANA week, which is two different things. I would actually have been better if you just talk about the business, the coach. What did you learn from my first lesson, first mastermind session? And how did you apply it? And then you can ask them, are you serious about what you're doing? Do you have a coach? All right? Maybe, again, a lot of your fans are boarder fans. Do you have someone that teaches you how to board better? Or do you have someone that teaches you how to do USANA better? Right? I would ask that. You did too many topics. Another blog could have been, I had a great week. But how did that great week happen? Right? How did that great week happen? Hey, this is what I did. And then you can end it with a challenge. How do you plan to make your week great? So I think if you talk about a template, is you have a hook, which is normally from news, right? From the current news, and you can tie into your past. Optional, tie into your past. And then you have the main content, what happened. And then you have the challenge. Okay, so you hook it in, content. And by the way, this is when you're talking to prospects. It's the same thing. When you're talking to a prospect, you don't know, when you talk on the phone, especially cold market, strangers from leads, you just don't talk about business. You find out the background, right? And you try to hook it in. Like if I'm talking to the sports fan, I would say, doesn't matter if it's in Melbourne, sports fan. I'll talk about sports because I have a sports background, right? If it's someone like a mom, like maybe like Christina, your market, like a stay-at-home mom, a prospect, I'll share my experiences about our dad. Hey, I'm a father now. Oh, I just had a 2-year-old. I did a training. My 2-year-old came crashing into my training and started making crying. I'll share those experiences. But hey, I can still do the business, right? If I'm a student, right? If I'm a student, then hey, I'm a student. But and I can share. I remember when I was a student. I wasn't that good student, and I wish I got started a lot earlier. So you can think of ways you can tie the conversation in back into the business. Right? I could talk about, hey, when I was a student, I wasn't really motivated, and because I didn't have my passion, and I didn't have the right mentors. And one of the things about this business, it gave me the right mentors, and I also met a lot of successful, driven entrepreneurs that really challenged me way more than I did in my classes in school. It was way more exciting, and that's how I got. So you can share. So think about different ways when you're talking to prospects to hook them in, right? Well, again, with commonality, because people like people who are commonality. All right. Last thing, we're over on time. Thing is objections. Christina brought up a good point before. Like I gave a good analogy about. You remember the leaders, supporters, right? Those 4 people. Good analogy. So one of the things to be effective speaker and presenter is you want to be a good storyteller. And we talked about this before. You want to be a good story. So one of the things I want you to start thinking about is for every objection you get, come up with a story. Got that? So don't just tell people, oh, this is MLM, MLM works. Come up with a story to handle every objection. So a good example is people say the products, here's a great real example, right? There are products, Rev3, people, it's too expensive. Well, I'll share a story. Actually, a guy came into the UK recently. He was a former distributor that quit, and actually now buys Rev3 from me. He actually pays like $100-something. Actually, I'm not exaggerating. $140 shipping for me to ship cases of Rev3 from LA to the UK for him, because he wants to buy from me, right? So when I share these stories, and I'll go into detail how the relationship developed, why he liked the product. Basically, in the prospect's mind, it's not just me telling them the products are not expensive. It shows them, hey, even though it's expensive, people go out of the way to buy it. If people say, I don't have money, I'll share the experience. Hey, one of my downlines, he didn't have money. Again, if you don't have your personal story, you can share one of your downlines. Like one of my business partners, Scott McGee, he didn't have money. So he put on his credit card. And even though his bank account, it got overdrawn. He had no money left. So at that time, he was using his ex-girlfriend's credit card. He said, can I borrow? I need a big favor. I need this. And his girlfriend lent him his credit card. So he bought his USANA package on his girlfriend's credit card. And that's how he got started. And once you start earning money, he paid her back. Right? So for every objection, think of a story you can tell. Because again, facts tell, but stories sell. People buy the stories. And if you look at next time you go to any event, any guy with a diamond or emerald, at high level, they all are great, great storytellers. All right, our time is up. That's it. If those interested, we have a 5-star mastermind call in 100 minutes from now, less than an hour and a half. Got to eat dinner, do walk OB. I'll see you all there if you're going to be on there. All right, everyone. Have a great week.
Thanks, Simon.
All right.